It is here, and it is beautiful. This is March, and this is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. It's time. Whether your team is in it or not, it's time to root for every Big 12 team because you're not petty. Houston, Texas Tech, BYU, and Kansas all play today in March. I know you filled out a bracket, and it's time to bust that thing, baby, because this is a month of chaos. We sleep in April, but guess what? We won't get to because that's when we'll be winning the national championship with all four Big 12 teams in the Final Four. Let's break down all these games, give you predictions for today's slate. And then Darren DeVries is more of a coward than we knew. Turns out, he's been talking to Indiana for like maybe over a month. And how is that not tampering? They were actively playing games at West Virginia. And then if you didn't make it to March Madness, need some pigskin in your life, banning TikTok, Friday games. What? Our third segment, Spencer McLaughlin of Locked On College Football, who's very bored right now, joins. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Without further ado, let's introduce you to the greatest month in sports, the greatest tournament in sports. It is March Madness. We will start Houston and SIU Edwardsville. The winner of this game gets Gonzaga and Georgia. The winner of this game will be the Houston Cougars. Now, it will be closer than you expect it to be. Shot quality, which is where I go for all of my advanced analytics, NBA coaches pay shot quality to give them analytics, has a final score of 77-59, Houston over SIUE. That is an 18-point victory. They are projecting for the Houston Cougars in this game. The line right now is like 28.5, depending on who you ask. Here's where Houston is going to run SIUE out of the gym. It's not exactly defensively, it's offensively. Where according to shot quality, Houston is 15th in the country. What? Weren't expecting that, were you? SIUE 185th in America on defense. On a scale of 1 to good, that is not. Where Houston could struggle here, shot selection, 361st in the country, 316th in free throw rate. They don't get to the line and make their free throws often. They aren't the smartest at shot selection. But if that gets you down, let's move over here to the defensive category, where according to shot quality, Houston is second in America, SIUE 310th. Houston blows this game out. Shot quality has it by 19. I have it by a final of 76-50. 26-point victory for Houston today. They kick things off. SIUE lucky to hit that 50-point mark. We're going in order, baby. This one's one of the most fun matchups you could possibly draw up in round one. BYU draws VCU. 76-71 is the projected final score according to shot quality. I told you yesterday, I stand by this. I think BYU could blow this game out. I also told you earlier this week, before the advanced analytics came out, that this was a 50-50 split. I'm off of that now. VCU, 85th in the country defensively. BYU 14th offensively. That is lopsided. We move over a bit to see that VCU is 52nd offensively. BYU is 7th defensively. Shot quality is the only metric that actually values the Big 12 the way it should be valued. BYU, VCU goes home with the Cougars of BYU. And I'm going to come a bit off my score projection from yesterday. Give me BYU by a final score of 76. They score 76. They're used to 80. They average over 80. 76, right where shot quality has them. I think VCU finishes this game with 65. It's still an 11-point victory for BYU. They get it done by double digits. Everyone has this Cinderella underdog VCU story. 6-seed BYU disrespected. They're playing today because of that LDS rule. I say rule. It's more of a commitment for them not to play on Sundays, and they abide by that, get the win in the end. God smiles upon the Cougars. Kansas, Arkansas, projected final score, 78-73 in favor of the Jayhawks. When we dive into the advanced analytics, Arkansas on offense, 60th in the country. Kansas 18 defensively. Where do senior guards, where do senior bigs pay off the most? That is in March. That's going to be the key for Kansas defensively. They are much more healthy this season than they were last year. Kansas is the number 14 team in the country according to shot quality overall. Arkansas is 48th. This could be a more lopsided game than you expect, even though John Calipari is on one of the sidelines. I don't think that gives quite the advantage that everyone wants it to. Kansas is 13 on offense, Arkansas 34th on defense. I think shot quality is a little higher defensively for Arkansas than many people would expect. This is a Kansas win. So far, the Big 12 is favored in all three of these games. I have Kansas over Arkansas, a little bit lower scoring than this, though. The Jayhawks win it by a final of 68-59. This is a close game throughout. Arkansas played really well under Eric Musselman in March. They keep this thing close until the end. Kansas makes free throws. Hunter Dickinson center to the line. Move him on. Kansas will advance to the next round of the NCAA tournament. And from there, things get much more interesting for the Jayhawks when they face the winner of St. John's and Omaha, likely going to be St. John's. Then our final game of the slate, I should say, Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. This score projected at Texas Tech winning by 12, final of 82-70 over UNC Wilmington. I like it. I like it a lot. Tech favored by 15. I don't think 15 is I don't think 15 is a metric you have to hit to look good. I think Tech can win by 10 and still look good. UNC Wilmington is a formidable opponent. 75th in the country on offense, despite being a lower major or mid-major. Texas Tech 19th defensively. That's where they make their bed. And that defensive ranking should kind of be thrown out when you consider Texas Tech is the number 3 team in the country overall per shot quality, and UNC Wilmington is 112th. Texas Tech number 5 offense in America because they're so efficient. UNC Wilmington 199th defensively. Texas Tech scores in this game. Texas Tech proves that it deserved a 3 seed in March or a possible 2 seed in March. Final score 86-64. Blowout city. Another one that a couple people be like, oh, maybe Texas Tech will lose to UNC. No, sir. No chance. Texas Tech blows out UNC Wilmington. The Big 12 goes 4 for 4 today with wins from BYU, Texas Tech, Kansas, and Houston. And I do think each of them will be by enough you don't sweat it out in that final minute. The BYU fans love to sweat it out no matter what the score is and no matter how much time is left on the clock. Coming up, Darren DeVries, more cowardice than you could ever imagine. Cowardly? There is more cowardice in Darren DeVries. You got it. Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Dining out, entertainment, easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. Complete financial command center. Track all your accounts, investments, spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized I order food to my house a lot, so I've stopped doing that. All-in-one convenience as well. If you're juggling multiple apps, use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, even plan long-term goals. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. Track shared personal accounts. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person. Getting tickets shouldn't be stressful. That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. Curation makes it easy to find better value. I can check the app, and there are amazing deals on huge matchups. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a lower price. With seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, and the lowest price guarantee, you can book with total confidence. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed with Game Time. Turns out, Darren DeVries, the new head coach at Indiana, is more of a coward than we ever could have expected. And someone that certainly, again, I'm going to double down, does not deserve to be the head coach at West Virginia and probably never did. This is from the voice of Morgantown, who tweets, DeVries said today, this being yesterday, that Indiana remained respectful during the process, allowing him to remain focused on his team at West Virginia. This implies that he was in fact in communication with Indiana while the season was still in progress. West Virginia lost its final game of the year against the worst team in the Big 12, Colorado. In the Big 12 tournament, you have to wonder if he was fully committed and present as the head coach at that time. It's a very valid question, isn't it? When you come to find out in the guy's press conference, in his press conference, that there's a very good likelihood that a month and a half ago, while he was the head coach at West Virginia, someone had reached out from Indiana. Can you tell me how that is not tampering? Can you tell me how there shouldn't be an investigation into what Indiana did going to Darren DeVries? And can you tell me even more so how that guy whose son was held out of the year, who got a pretty good little NIL check, who took money from his teammates, who was hurt, but is seen on the sideline jumping up and down with his shoulder that just had surgery on it. Can you tell me how that guy, that sleuth, the snake in the grass, got to just hang around and then openly admit in his press conference that, well, at least Indiana was respectful. At least they were nice when they called me a couple months ago, and I've known for a long time that I would be the head coach at Indiana, and if my team lost in the Big 12 tournament, that only meant, I said this on a show last week. That Darren DeVries, and there were burner accounts tweeting this out weeks ago, that Darren DeVries losing in the Big 12 tournament could expedite the process, could speed up the process of him going to Iowa or Indiana. Little did I know that's exactly what was happening. Him losing that game. Do you understand? How do you think he reacted? Listen to this. When he found out West Virginia didn't make it in March Madness, I can imagine. I want you to picture this with me if you're a West Virginia fan. Or if you're a fan of any Big 12 team, I think we should all reason with West Virginia fans and feel for them in this. Picture that room, Selection Sunday. Are we going to March? Javon Small, head down, hoping, wishing, wanting his team to get into March Madness. Tucker DeVries and Darren DeVries, two of the biggest names in West Virginia basketball this season. Their heads not down. They're watching this going, if we don't make it, I get to go to Indiana faster. I know his son knew. Of course his son knew. You tell your kid. I don't fault him for telling his kid. But this guy on the roster, taking NIL money, knew the head coach was leaving. The head coach sitting in that room, consoling his players that didn't make it to the big dance. He knew, us not making it only means that I get my new paycheck faster. I can put my home on the market. I get to leave. I don't have to be in Morgantown anymore. I don't have to be a part of West Virginia. I'm gone. I'm taking the money and I'm running. That's what's going through his head as Javon Small is crying that West Virginia is missing March Madness. I don't understand how these people, he admitted to knowing this at length. He admitted to understanding what was going to happen and knowing during Selection Sunday where he was headed. His team didn't. They wanted to keep their season alive. He had a vested interest elsewhere. And there's not, it's stunning to me that Indiana fans, there's not a way to put into words how stupid this is. Every way you look at it. In the DeVries camp, in the Indiana camp, they're fans who are so ticked off they would hire him. They hate this hire. And not because he's a snake in the grass, not because he hid things from West Virginia, not because he didn't do things the right way, not because this was all shady, and because he's known for a while and Indiana did. He admitted in his press conference, not because now big rumors are coming out about his son, his real injury status, not the fact he left a program in the dark, turned his back on an entire state of West Virginia, asked for more money, and then leaves. And the fans, they're not upset with that. They're upset because, we don't think he's a good basketball coach. Fran Fraschilla tweeted, I did not get to know Darren DeVries well, a good under-the-radar personality, terrific coach. West Virginia brought in a haul in the buyout. That's huge, man. This is like, I just don't want to waste my breath on this guy again. You got the check. You got the money in the buyout. Fraschilla says it's a top 25 job year in and year out, and it is. You know why? Because that guy, you know how proud I would be to be the head coach of West Virginia. I have no ties. I've been to West Virginia like twice. But how proud I would be to be the head coach of a program where the state feeds off of you. Again, growing up in Arkansas, that's how it was for us. Everyone wanted to. We rooted for Arkansas State. You root for Marshall. We rooted for UAPB or UCA. But you wanted to be a Razorback one day. You want to be a Mountaineer one day. You wanted to coach the Razorbacks to help bring your state to glory because it was a proud damn state, as they called it. That's what West Virginia is. How special would it be to have the distinct honor to become that person for a full state of people, for a state to be proud of you? But then to look the coal miner in the face, to look that person who works 9 to 5, 9 to 6 every day to put food on the table, to look that person, I've talked to people from West Virginia who have gone through insane hardships that are often bred by a poverty loop in the state, who have made it out. They still live in West Virginia for the sake they want to make the state better. They want to make the people better. Imagine representing those in that community and then saying, there's more money over here. I'm done. I don't want to give back. That's the most damning part of this entire thing to me, is that he sat there on Selection Sunday and knew what he was going to do. And everyone else in that room, except for him and his son, got to sulk, got to wish their season was extended. But this guy knew that all that meant for him, the faster he got to leave. Genuinely. You can say, he didn't want to, he didn't want to make the prize. He wanted to go to March Madness. Maybe. But when that was announced and Javon Small heard that West Virginia is not going, that the last one's left out, the athletic director, the governor, they're all fighting. Darren DeVries is going, well, that stinks, I guess. I'm gone. If you're defending that, let's make it more money, better opportunity. He gets to coach Indiana, this blue blood program. If you're defending that, West Virginia has made more Sweet 16s in the last 2 decades. West Virginia has been a better program in the last 2 decades. West Virginia would sell out to make that program great. Indiana, they'll just recycle you, throw you away like underwear, one after the other after the other. Hope you change it. Coming up, football. I'll talk about football for a little bit for those of you who want it. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. I take like 8 of them every day. Daylight savings snuck up on me. I went to a wedding the night before, had a couple of cervezas, and needed a 5 Hour Energy to get me through all the sun thing that's happening outdoors. And whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you the quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up late watching the tournament already. 5 Hour Energy keeps me up the next day. With longer days, I love getting outside for a hike or a run. Tropical Burst is now my go-to. Whether I'm at a game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is the easy grab and go that keeps me refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You could even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
No TikTok at West Virginia. Shut it down. Get rid of it. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 is here. We call him Drake 12 here at the show. So is this just Rich Rod walking into his new job and already being the old man yelling at the sky. Does this make a difference? Does this mean West Virginia is serious in the Big 12, Drake? Like, what are we supposed to make of this?
This is step one of West Virginia's national championship run. Might I have you? If you walk into...
Look back to this moment, folks. This moment right here.
Well, think about, and it's my old daytime radio shtick. I spent too many years there to not. If you're a West Virginia man, you're a coal miner, right? You work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day for the company, man. And you hear that your head football coach just banned TikTok. I'll tell you what, I like that right there. I want me some of that. And that is the reaction of a whole lot of West Virginia fans you talk to. Is they are excited. Your local West Virginia man loves this, and so would your local Arkansas man, or your local Florida Panhandle man. You know who wouldn't love this? That kid who's been playing for Lane Kiffin for 3 years, or the kid who's been playing for Deion Sanders for 2 years at Colorado. There are people that would not enjoy this in programs across the country like USC, but at West Virginia, the fan base as a whole, here's what they need. I don't know if you knew this. I know you're not a big basketball guy. They missed March Madness.
Whoa.
And
what's with the slander?
And in the wake of Locked On College Football, and with Spencer McLaughlin, in the wake of missing March Madness, they lost their basketball coach to Indiana. Not good. West Virginia, what these fans, I have learned, hosting Locked On Big 12, need is someone who represents the Mountaineer way, someone who represents the state. Neil Brown was this kind of funny, goofy uncle character. Not good. Darren DeVries turns out knew for the last couple months that he was going to leave West Virginia. That's probably not good. They need a native son. Rich Rodriguez was that guy. He left them for Michigan. That's why him coming back is controversial. Now, as he steps into this role, especially with everything else burning down in the athletic department, he's getting to become once again a figurehead for the state. So that coal miner who wants nothing to do with TikTok just found out that his quarterback can't be doing embarrassing shirtless dances in the locker room on some random social media platform. I think that rocks.
That question and answer started out as an unserious jab at a coach who's doing something that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And by the end of it, I'm fully in that camp now. I get where you're coming from there. So the question then becomes, well, what happens next? Like, obviously, step one to winning a national championship and reliving the glory days.
No more pooping on the clock. No one can poop during practice. Is that what you mean? What do you mean?
Why do I keep bringing you back on the show?
Step two.
If you didn't... Just so we're clear, if you didn't work at this network, I would never speak to you. I would never speak to you in a million years. But alas, you do. So here we are. But what happens now? Like, is that just step one to endearing him to the fan base? Does he have to take another step to do that? Because I do think that makes a little bit of sense. Appeal to the common man, the average typical West Virginia fan. Okay, I can get behind that. You know what every West Virginia fan wants more than anything, though, Drake? To win some freaking football games, and a lot of them. This is a Big 12 that's wide open year in and year out. There is no reason whatsoever West Virginia shouldn't expect to be towards the top of the conference at least once every 3 years, if not more frequently than that.
I agree. And what this is, it's not what Chad Morris did at Arkansas. He walked in and said, get in the left lane and hammer down, did all these like one-liners as the used car salesman. It's not that. It's instead someone who genuinely wants to eliminate all distractions, eliminating distractions, and doing something that makes a whole lot of sense for what the state's culture is, what that program's culture is going to become. So I can see how under Neil Brown, there wasn't this iron fist. Again, he's kind of the goofy Uncle Neil Brown. There were probably kids. I'm assuming this didn't come out of nowhere. There were probably kids making TikToks, filming dances in the locker room. He walked in day one, Rich Rodriguez, that is, and said, hey, whoa, I'm back. We're not doing this at West Virginia. We didn't do it at Jacksonville State. We're not doing it here. That's the situation that the Mountaineer program is in, and it's a good one.
I actually like the Rich Rod hire. Normally, retreads, I'm not wild about it. You know, Scott Frost at UCF.
I think it's better than Frost.
I agree. I mean, Frost brought in Alex Grinch to be his defensive coordinator. I don't understand. I do not understand at all whatsoever. Now, that's how some people feel, Drake, about the Big 12 playing more games on Friday nights. Here, let me throw this at you as to why I actually like it. I get why people say, well, they're scared of the SEC. Why are they doing this? Okay, you are not restricted in today's world of college football to playing games on one day because of the size of your conferences. So anything that you can do to increase television viewership for your games is inherently the right thing to do for your league. That's Brett Yormark's job, right? Is to get the most viewership, get the most money, and have the league in as strong a position as possible. I like this because I do think it will increase some viewership, or has the potential to do so for some college football games. I know the angle you've taken in the past about the high school football and how important that is in the state of Texas. I get it. You telling me no one's going to have the game up on their phone? You telling me the games always run at the exact same time? I mean, high school football games could be, 6, 7 o'clock Texas time. But then when they get home, oh, wait, you still got a game on TV because it's BYU and Utah, or someone is playing in that time zone and they're an hour behind. I just think that it makes sense. There was some blowback to it, and I think there's some logic to it.
Maybe so. It's not something that I think will hurt the Big 12 overall, or to the point, won't hurt them to the point it needs to be nixed in 2 years and can never be done again. However, there were a few of these matchups, Arizona State, TCU, that could become big-time marquee matchups. And when the game is played on a big Friday night in the state of Texas, where the Big 12 has headquartered itself and created such a massive following. I mean, so many of your fans and your fan bases come from that state. Now, when those people are 7:30 kickoff local time, 7:30 kickoff at Amon G. Carter Stadium, and then your high school football game, you don't get home till 11:15. Maybe the end of the game is there, but the Big 12 doesn't want you watching the end of the game. The Big 12 wants you there to watch the entire game. I think this was BYU, SMU, who played on a Friday in Dallas last year. That was kind of the same vibe of you're going to have to pull your phone out and watch it and multitask if you want to see it. So if you're Brett Yormark, you're now asking fans to multitask on a Friday night where you don't usually know college football, where you're not programmed to watch college football. We reserve this holy day for big-time high school football, which is huge in states like West Virginia, Utah, and Texas, Florida, where UCF hails from. That's massive. And you're going to compete with that. It's the same thing as college football not wanting to compete with the NFL. There are two products. The NFL doesn't really want to compete with college football. They try not to. Let's stay separate so that we can have all the viewers in the world. The Big 12 saying, hey, we will crash into high school football to stay away from Alabama and Auburn, to stay away from LSU and Georgia. Maybe that works, but I just don't know if the person watching LSU, Georgia, would have been watching Arizona State and TCU, even if it was a top 20 matchup. That person is a T-shirt fan, and that person, that general college football fan watching that game, very likely only cares about big names or the SEC or a top 10 matchup, and that makes up 50% of the viewership in the country. Bars, big games, and random people who just want to have it on at the party because it's one of those marquee matchups. That's why the number beside your team name matters so much. That's why the matchups in the top 10 matter so much. That's why the SEC matters so much for brands. So the Big 12 saying, we don't want to compete with you. We don't want to do that. We're going to play it on Fridays instead. I don't think people would have watched. I don't think you're alienating an audience because those folks wouldn't have watched the game anyway.
When you said bars, obviously, my mind went to an actual bar. I also thought for a hot second you were going to an acronym like BARS. Because you said, oh gosh, I don't even remember what it was now. Yeah. Something and I thought you were about to say and random spectators. and I was about to be really impressed. Instead, you're just Drake 12. So that's enough of him today.